Think about that. Joining us now from Washington, member of the House Armed Services Committee, Democratic Congressman John Garamendi of California, officially the earliest rising member of Congress. We have given you that title since you've been on First Look twice now, Congressman.
And you're on the East Coast.
Yeah, and on the East Coast. If you do it in California, that's a whole other level.
No, but it's... I get up early to feed my cows when I'm back in California, so the sun's up, it's time to be up.
I like that. Congressman, let me ask you about this, this summit, first of all. Are you hopeful that President Trump is going to reach an agreement with North Korea?
No. I don't think there's any chance that's going to happen. I think it's very helpful to have a summit. Hopefully we don't have expectations too high. I do note that many of us are really concerned about what he would agree to. It looks to me like he simply wants to have the glory of a summit without really getting into the details of an extraordinarily complex and very, very dangerous situation. So hopefully everything will go smoothly, and then it'll be the start of a process that will ultimately lead to a denuclearization and really two separate countries on the Korean Peninsula, and eventually some years ahead they can figure out how to reunify if indeed they want to.
Let's switch gears here and talk about primary day yesterday in your home state of California. As we know, Democrats were really hoping to flip a number of Republican seats throughout the state. It turns out that may not have been the case. Cox, endorsed by President Trump, came in second, as we know, behind Gavin Newsom.
Right.
How are you feeling in general right now, Congressman, about the Democrats' chances to win back the House and Senate come November? Do you feel like your party is unified enough to do this?
Well, we're Democrats. We don't unify, but we're going to win. We're going to win.
Well, you're honest.
Well, we're going to win because basically the Republican message is one of supporting the wealthy and the rich and the major corporations and not paying attention to everyday Americans who continue to be on the bottom end of the Republican economic deal. We've got a better deal. We've got a deal in which we want to make sure that the middle class has a rising income, in which there is infrastructure, in which there are opportunities for research and education and re-education, job training and the like. That's where we want to go. We want to make sure that the American manufacturing system is really strong and robust without a trade war, which is going to be devastating all the way around. So those are the policies we'll be working on.
It seems as if, though, the Democrats can be accused of a similar thing and not supporting the middle class and being more concerned about politics in this race as well, and really just talking more about impeaching the president versus thinking about the middle class here. What would you say to that?
Well, I'd say it's awfully hard not to be talking about the president. He's tweeting 4 or 5 times a day, creating some sort of uproar. So, yes, everybody's going to be talking about him. But back home in the districts, the Democrats are talking about things that are really, as they used to say, kitchen table issues. How do you get a better paycheck? How do you get a better job? How do you improve yourself? What about the transportation system? The Republican transportation system is total nonsense. And so those are the things that we'll be talking about, and we have specific programs on each and every one of those. Now, recognize that there are 435 different American districts out there, and each one is unique. And so the Democratic candidates in California, and I suspect in other parts of the nation, were very, very carefully structuring the issues that I just talked about to fit the specific districts. For example, in Orange County, you're not going to be talking about agriculture. In my district in California, you better be talking about agriculture. It's a $4.4 billion farm gate industry. And so you've got to structure your program to meet the specific districts, keeping in mind the overall theme of a better deal for Americans.
Congressman, let me ask you really quickly about Nancy Pelosi. She's obviously become a lightning rod for Republicans. That's expected, but is there any credibility to the fact that Republicans are saying that Nancy Pelosi represents the same old kind of Democratic establishment, and that's why they're trying to mobilize their base against the Nancy Pelosi's and the Chuck Schumers of Congress in districts all across the United States?
Well, eventually that story of Nancy Pelosi is getting very, very old, worn, and tired. I don't think it's going to carry very far. The reality is that the Democrats will have strong leadership should we take back the House, and we'll be focusing directly on those things that middle America cares about. Can you afford a college education as a middle American? Well, maybe your first child can, but your second can't. How do we deal with that? Well, that's a program that we have very specific answers to that. For example, why can't you refinance your college loans. You can refinance your house, but not your college loans. It's a piece of legislation that helps all Americans out there. Happens to be my bill, but not going into that in more detail.
So, Congressman, quickly, do you disagree with the fact that the Democrats need new blood right now? They need to be re-energized.
Oh, we got a lot of new blood coming in. Take a look at the elections in California. Our great fear in the California elections, congressional seats where we had a very good opportunity, the Rohrabacher, the Royce seats, for example, our fear was there were too many Democrats and they would split the vote and a Republican, a second-tier Republican would sneak in and there would be no Democrat in the general election. That does not appear to be the case. It looks as though we will be able to get a Democrat in the general election in every one of those contested seats. So, no, we're not short of new blood. We're not short of new energy. In fact, we had a little surplus in many of those districts in California.
All right, Congressman, we always appreciate getting up early for us. Congressman John Garamendi,
Happy to be here.
All right, so everybody, it is the end of an era for the Miss America pageant, the iconic feature of